Yes, indeed, guys. Welcome back to the channel. It's Jay Jordan here. And today we're going to do a recap of yesterday's game against the Chicago Sky. New York Liberty played the Chicago Sky in downtown Brooklyn on Sunday, June 4th, in a game in which they lost 86 to 82. They blew a 19-point lead in that game. So by the time I got home from that game, I was too upset to even record the video. So I had to wait a day to actually process what I just saw. So we're gonna go over the box score, go over my thoughts about some of the lineups and some of the things said in the press conference, and then we'll head on out of here. Before we continue, make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit that like button so I can continue making videos like this. All right, so the Liberty started the game on a crazy run. They started the game on a 13-0 run, guys. So they were up 13-0 to start this game before Chicago called a timeout. Then from the rest of that quarter, Chicago went on a 15-5 run and ended that quarter 18-15. So I was like, okay, we started off good. We let them back in the game. Let's do the same thing in the second quarter without letting them back in. So New York, the Liberty went on a 10-0 run in that second quarter, and we ended that quarter leading them 47-30. We were up 17 points at halftime, guys. 17 points at halftime. So how did they lose this game? Chicago went on a 19-6 run in that third quarter. A 19-6 run to get them back in this game. It was crazy. They were hitting everything. Our offense looked stagnant. We were turning the ball over. We couldn't stop Kalia Copper. We couldn't stop Elizabeth Williams because we kept switching our point guard or our small guards onto her. So I don't know what the game plan was, but they went on a 19-6 run. And then in the fourth quarter, it was just more of the same. They went on a 24-9 run in that quarter to completely erase the 19-point lead we had early in the third and ended up beating us 86-82. Positive, I don't even know if you can call them positives, but Breanna Stewart had her third double-double. She had 20 points and 11 rebounds. She's been doing great in that regard for us. She shot 57%, 8 for 14 from the floor. I personally think she should have more attempts, but from being at the game and seeing them play, the shots she were taking were a lot of the shots she was taking were contested. She had a few easy mid-range jump shots and floaters in the lane, but a lot of the time it was very contested shots. Courtney Vandersloot, 18 points and 10 assists and 8 rebounds in that game. So you see our two newly acquired players had great games, and we still end up blowing the game. So you could tell it was a defensive effort. Marine Johannes, it was her first game playing at home for the Liberty for this season since she's been back from France. I had 11 points and 2 assists. She had a nice flurry in that second quarter, I believe, where she was getting a lot of layups, had some nice assists as well. Kalia Copper for the Chicago Sky had a game high 28 points and 7 rebounds. So let's get into the box score a little bit so we can see exactly where our demise happened. We'll start off with the Liberty's box score. So as you can see here on the screen, the Liberty Benijah Laney played 19 minutes, 3 for 11. That's terrible efficiency. Only had 6 points, 3 rebounds after having that 19-point game she had last game against the Sky. But Breanna Stewart, as I told, 20 points, 11 rebounds. Jonquel Jones, another subpar showing, 9 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. She didn't even play in crunch time. Down in the fourth quarter when we were trying to make the comeback, she barely touched the floor. I think she touched the floor early in the fourth, but when we were really trying to make the comeback, she was nowhere to be found. That's something I think she's still recovering from the foot injury, but she really looks slow out there. Elizabeth Williams was bullying her a little bit. She couldn't get enough lift to grab some crucial rebounds as well. Courtney Vandersloot, 18 and 10, perfect from her, 8 rebounds as well. 5 turnovers, has to cut that down. She was trying to force the action a little bit too much, especially on some fast breaks. She was trying to thread the needle, and that caused some turnovers. Sabrina Ionescu, we're gonna get to her a little bit later, but 4 points and minus 14 in the plus minus, 5 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 of 9 shooting in 32 minutes. That's the second bad game in a row for her. So we need to address that. Our bench mob, they contributed as best they could. Kayla Thornton, 5 points, 3 rebounds, a +3 in her minutes. Nyara Sabley hit another three. She had 5 points, 3 rebounds. Steph Dolson, 4 points, 1 assist, 4 fouls. She plays very handsy defense, and it's annoying, but that's just the way she plays. And Marine, as we mentioned, 11 points and 2 assists, 1 turnover, at 5 for 10, pretty efficient. If we look at our turnovers, we had 16 turnovers in this game. 16 turnovers, and we shot 24% from three. That got those numbers, the percentages gotta go up, and the turnovers gotta go down in order for us to be a successful team. But let's get to the Chicago Sky, the team that actually won. Alana Smith, after having her career high against us in the previous game, came back down to earth. 7 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. She played solid defense on Brianna Stewart, but she didn't have the hot hand like she had last game. Elizabeth Williams, 11 points, 7 rebounds. She was in the later stages of the game. Her and Courtney Williams are running a pick and roll where if they would switch and the guard was on Elizabeth Williams, it would get dumped down to her and she would do her thing in the paint. And then when they didn't do the switch, Courtney Williams would just hit the mid-range jump shot in the fourth. Courtney Williams, 10 of her 12 points came in that fourth quarter. 12 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. She was really just hitting. She hit some threes, hit some mid-range jump shots, really picking on Sabrina and Marine and Vandersloot, whoever, all three of those guards were getting picked on late in that game. Kalia Copper, career high 27 points. Not career high, season high 27 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. She really was killing us in the third quarter and en route to their comeback. Just getting mid-range jump shots, wide open jump shots, going to the lane, getting fouled. She was 2 for 5 from the line, but she was really being aggressive. Marina Mabry, 17 points, 4 assists, 4-15 shooting. She was doing her thing as well. We went to the line, 9 for 11. So that's where a majority of her points came from. The bench, I think her name's Rosalind Parks. She was doing her thing. She hit some big threes. All her points came from three, 3 for 5. She was wide open on a few. Christina Nigwe, not too much, 2 points, and Sika Kone, 1 point, and the rest of their team is pretty much injured. Yeah, so you can see the discrepancy in the points in the quarters. So they had 15 apiece in both the first and the second, and then the third and the fourth, 26 and 30 respectively. We had 18 in the first, 29 in the second, 18 in the third, 17 in the fourth. So usually in games past, our defense picked up as the game went on and their numbers would come down. This time we started off stronger and faded towards the end, which is unfortunate. Yeah, so that's just the box score. In the press conference, we found out some information that I guess looking at when I was at the game, my mom actually was with me and she pointed out like, oh, Sabrina has something on her leg, or she was like a ice pack or something on her leg. So that made me want to look into it more. And Sabrina, I don't know if it's an excuse or what it is, but she was saying that she had a bad hammy. It got a little tight after the Seattle game. So the last 2 games, she's been trying to get healthy, and she's feeling a little bit better, but playing with a tight hammy is not fun. I'm paraphrasing the answer that she got, that the reporters got, excuse me, from Winsider, Miles Ehrlich, one of the the beat writers for the Liberty. But my thought with that is, if you have a bad hamstring, we have enough depth that you can sit out a couple games. So I don't understand why you would play through a bad hamstring instead of just resting it, going out there and hurting the team both offensively and defensively when other people could use those minutes. But I don't know if that's a coaching decision or if that's a her decision or if she was hiding it. I'm not too sure in that regard, but that should never happen. She should have been arrested because she looked limited. All her shots were short. She was missing layups, missing wide open threes, and was really killing the team. So I rather her not. If she's hurt, sit out, especially this early in the season. I'd rather you just sit out instead of trying to hurt the team even more. Um, when it comes to more stuff in the press conference, Courtney Vandersloot saying we don't want to be the team that only plays 20 minutes. That's been the reoccurring thing. This is a really good league. Any team can beat anybody. We need to have the mentality that if we don't put 40 minutes together, we're not going to win, and that should be standard. That shouldn't be a surprise or a learning thing for this team. Other things from the press conference, um, Sandy Brandello talked about Marine Johannes and her impact. Um, just continuing to build chemistry with her teammates. This is her second game playing. This game was better than the last, and it's only going to get better as she gets more familiar with playing with Brianna Stewart and Jonquel and players of that ilk. One thing that Sandy Brandello did mention was on the late lineups, and that'll segue into our next point. She's mentioned having playmakers helps. Marine showed how great she is, and she moved the ball. That's why I went with her in the lineup. They compete defensively, can execute. She said she should have moved Kayla Thornton to the 4 more because Chicago exploited our 5s, and they really did. Steph Dolson felt a little too slow playing the 5. Jonquel Jones, she's slow. So our 5s are not very quick and athletic. So I think Niara was a little quicker. I think they had Brianna Stewart playing the 5 at one point. So that's something that comes with experience, seeing different coverages, seeing how different teams attack, and as a coach, you can make adjustments from there. But even viewing it, at being at the game and seeing it, you could clearly see that they were really attacking the bigs and in rotation, and the bigs they were faltering. That segues into the next point. There was a lineup that I saw on the court. I guess Sandy was just experimenting, but it was a Marine, Sabrina Ionescu, and Vandersloot lineup with maybe Kayla Thornton and Niara Sabali or something of that nature. And excuse me, that lineup can't do. We can't have 3 of them on the court at the same time, especially if Sabrina's hurt. We can't even. We're already struggling because she was trying to guard Kalia Copper, and Kalia Copper was just taking her to the hoop. So we really cannot afford to have all 3 of them on the court. It's two or one. We can't have all 3. We have Benijah as a defender who can also shoot threes and score, and we have Kayla Thornton who's a wing defender who can score. So we need 1 point guard and some shooters. We don't need to have 3 tiny guards on the court at the same time. I know she was probably experimenting trying to spark some offense with that lineup, but that can't do. There was a late call in that game where we were down 3 and we called a timeout. We tried to run a play. I think it's Sabrina going to the corner, and as she was trying to ghost the screen and move towards the corner, her and Alana Smith collided, and they called an offensive foul on Sabrina for a moving screen. Questionable call, but at the end of the day, we should have never been in that position. So they have no one to blame but themselves. Otherwise, it was a very disappointing game, being up 19 and you lose. You giving up these big runs. It's unacceptable. Credit to Chicago. Tough team, never gave up. they saw a weakness and they kept attacking it, and we couldn't adjust. The screen and roll with Courtney Williams, Elizabeth Williams, they ran that. I think they ran that the whole fourth quarter, and we literally could not adjust. Literally, they were we switched, they punished us. We tried to trap the point guard, they punished us. No matter what they did, no matter what the Liberty did on defense, they punished us. So sometimes you gotta look at yourself as a coach and say, what could I have done better to avoid that? So could I have switched the coverages, switched the personnel? But that comes with learning with the team. We're 5 games in, so that comes with the team playing together some more. That's all I'm gonna talk about today. I've gotten over the loss. It's disappointing, but it's still early in the season. That was the 6th game of the season. There's still 34 more games to go. Still more chemistry to build. Still more wins to acquire. It just only sucks because that was our Commissioner's Cup game against Chicago. That was our second and final one against them. So we're 1-1 in the Chicago series. I think Connecticut is still ahead of us in Commissioner Cup points, so we need to really get it together and figure out how we're gonna bounce back from this loss. The good thing is the next game is on Wednesday against the Minnesota Lynx, a team that's really struggling. I don't think they've won a game this season. Oh, they won 1 game this season. I think they beat the Mystics on, was it Friday? I think they beat the Mystics on Friday or one of those days. So that's they're coming to Barclays in Brooklyn. So that's a time to get back on the win column, come out with a vengeance, execute against that team, and pick up a W. There won't be a watch along for that game. I only do watch alongs for the away games because I'll be at a majority of the home games in person. So we will have a recap on that game the following day. So that recap should be coming out on I want to say June 8th, because the game was on June 7th. So June 8th, we should have a recap video out about that game. Make sure you follow me at Jay.JordanTV Liberty on Instagram, because I do put up Instagram story about the game, about the experience at the game. So if you want to keep up to date with that, I'm pretty close to the court, so you get an up close and personal view. The Instagram is also in the channel description, so if you want to find that and get a links right to it, just click on that. Right, that next game on Wednesday against the Minnesota Lynx. Let me find out where that game is being broadcast for us, so you guys can tune in. This Liberty game will be on the 7th. That game, if you're in the local market, it'll be on the Yes app. If you're out of market, it will be on WNBA League Pass. It's not on local TV Yes Network. It's only on Yes app and WNBA League Pass. All right, that's it for today. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts about the game if you watched it. What do you think the lineup, the adjustment should be? What do you think we should improve for next game? Until next time, guys, salute.